Conflict is inevitable in World of Warcraft guilds. My most recent video, I know I talked about guild drama, but recent events have once again given me pause to think about it. You know, 1 minute you're clearing content together, joking in Discord, sharing loot, memes, and victories. The next, someone's G quitting, someone's G kicking, someone else stops showing up to raid entirely. Whispers, gossips, tensions begin to brew behind these polite sort of facades that people begin to keep. And suddenly the guild begins to feel like a cracked mirror, sharp, confusing, and no longer reflecting what you once thought it did. But this isn't merely just about loot drama or poor leadership, it's more about identity and power. I think it's about the roles that we play and what happens when we let those slip. This is the theater of the self, and in online worlds, the stage is always lit. In World of Warcraft, or really any MMO, a guild isn't just a group of players, it's a society in the miniature. There are hierarchies, customs, unspoken rules, and social contracts we rarely acknowledge aloud, but we all feel them. There are roles that we drift into. The leader, not just giving orders, but carrying the weight of everyone's expectations and delegating. The raid logger, functional, dependable, yet emotionally absent. The clown, lightening the mood, often masking their own fatigue and misery. The workhorse, the critic, the peacekeeper, the fire starter. We don't always choose these roles. Often they already chose us, or worse, others chose them for us. And before long, that version of ourselves begins to harden. It's not quite fake exactly, but it is curated and safe. It's a reflection that is shaped by the social gravity. Carl Jung would have called it the persona, the mask that we wear to meet the demands of the world. Not a lie, but not the full truth either. A necessary fiction. In tightly knit guilds, these masks become part of the structure, but like any great structure, they will begin to groan under stress. Because conflict, real conflict, doesn't come from loot rolls or bad passes. Those are merely symptoms. The cause runs deeper. Conflict is a mirror turned inward. When things tend to go wrong, the mask begins to crack. The laid back player who never seemed to care suddenly starts to care. The loyal officer stops caring at all. The cheerful banter that once occurred in Discord becomes quieter and colder. And slowly, the fiction begins to fray. What's really being tested here isn't your DPS or your pass, it's your identity, your place, and your worth in the guild. It's very tempting to mock this sort of guild drama, to reduce it to nerd rage or a petty squabble, but I think that kind of cynicism tends to miss the point. Guild drama can be meaningful in the way that it tells us how human beings organize, how they bond, how they fracture under pressure. We long for recognition, for inclusion, for control, and we fear irrelevance, betrayal, and being misunderstood. And most of all, we project. We project our insecurity onto the raid leader, our fear of abandonment onto a quiet week in the Discord, our ego into our performance logs. These projections don't just fuel conflict, but they shape it. They create the very drama we're trying to avoid. But they also begin to reveal who we are and what we want. Maybe even what we could be if we stopped performing and started speaking honestly. There's a line from Shakespeare that feels oddly relevant here to me. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. In guilds, we are always performing, always trying to match the role with the group to earn our place in the story, but sometimes the role no longer fits. Sometimes the audience changes. Sometimes the curtain falls. But with each new cast, we bring something more honest. Maybe we lead differently, speak up sooner, stay quieter, forgive faster. Maybe we learn that the version of us we thought was an act was actually closer to the real thing. Because in the theater of the self, there are no final acts, just new masks, new costumes, new scenes, and the enduring hope that this time someone in the audience will see through the performance and like what they find.